what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to our Sunday night live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Right Babers. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton. We got a lot to get into today. Of course, we're still in the post-mortem, if you will, of the Texas UTEP game. We'll talk about it. Matter of fact, the show belongs to you. It's a show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So whatever questions and comments you want to get off your chest, throw them out there. We'll try to address and answer as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat, and we'll talk about that. Kind of a live watch going on here too with Sunday Night Football. Got the Atlanta Falcons and the Vikings. So Bijan on center stage, so we can talk about that a little bit too if some big plays happen involving some Longhorns. Otherwise, we're gonna be focused on the task at hand here, breaking down the Texas Longhorns win over UTEP, but a win that felt very much like a loss. It's very strange. It's a win that felt like a loss. And Jerry went back and watched it and had to rewatch. What's up, CB? What's up to all you guys? Thank you guys for joining us, by the way. Went back and watched it again. And usually, I always say it's never as bad as you think, and it's never as good as you think when you go back and watch the film. If you thought you're
about to echo what I said on Rapid Reactions, aren't you?
I haven't even watched Rapid Reactions yet, Jerry. I'll admit I go watch all that stuff after because I do my rewatch on Sundays too. Did you just say basically it was just as bad as the initial watch?
I said it was worse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
From an offensive perspective, it was worse.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that. I expected to go back and watch it and criticize myself for overreacting to it initially, but no, they're in a crisis.
Yeah,
this is an offensive crisis that they're in. I hate to say that after just 3 games, but it feels like that, and it is kind of an offensive identity crisis where they don't really know who they are right now as an offense. One of the things that stood out to me, number one, rewatching the game, I think I counted one pass attempt of 10 or more yards in the second half. Talk about a distrust of your quarterback.
Yes.
Essentially abandoned the vertical passing game.
Which is what Sark wants to do in Arch's strength.
Yes, exactly. And another thing that also struck me was, and obviously against a team like UTEP, you're not supposed to be, abandoning the passing game in a situation like that. I get it. Against a conference opponent, you're trying to win the game. Situations and circumstance may dictate, hey, we got to do this to win the game. But UTEP, you should be able to run your offense effectively and efficiently, and they couldn't do that. Second thing is, Jerry, man, and I tweeted this out too, Sark always mocks the quarterback run game, and as for the last few years, it's stated over and over again, and we all know it. We all know the quote. We don't major in quarterback run game. We don't do that. He actually majored in quarterback run game versus UTEP. So that's either how frustrated he was or maybe how desperate he was. But they had 7 design runs in that game. I mean, you had design runs for Arch Manning in the fourth quarter versus UTEP.
Yeah.
So that to me also I don't know if it's going to be in an evolution of the offense, but I definitely think the quarterback run game is no longer a luxury that Sark and I and all of us were hoping, when Texas needs some juice in that offense, they'll just add the quarterback run game. Now it's a necessity to have the quarterback run game. You need it. You need it desperately. You have to run the quarterback, I'm going to say, once a quarter, twice a quarter. That's where you are at now offensively. And that is not what we thought we'd be when we were talking about Arch Manning as a weapon.
Rod, I just looked this up while you were talking because I was wondering. So UTEP has played Utah State on the road, UT Martin at home, and Texas on the road. You know which team had the least offensive yards against them?
Oh, man, don't say it.
Texas.
Damn. Oh, man, that's ugly.
And I know UT Martin got some yards late in that game after they get blown out, but that's a pretty rough stat.
There's no doubt. I mean, we're past the point now of hoping that this offense will turn a corner to be, good or great or even come close to living up to the expectations we had. At this point, I'm just hoping that they can keep drives alive and convert third downs. I mean, I have totally disregarded all of my expectations for this offense. I really don't have much faith that this offense, either running the football or, obviously through a consistent passing game, that they can develop an identity anytime soon. And I think they need to go get Arch the best sports just that money can buy. I know
the PGA Tour golfers use.
Whoever has the best resume, whoever deals with the top athletes in the world, whoever that person is, and Texas can afford them, and so can the Mannings. Go get that woman or man and have them talk to Arch, and also through the Manning connection, have them talk to a real athlete that can connect to Arch, who actually conquered the yips.
Yeah,
went through it, that we can kind of get a game plan for how Arch mentally and kind of physically can overcome, because it is the yips. I don't know if we define what the yips are, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah. Well, look, Rod, all you have to do is watch. Go anybody this week if you have time. And I said this on another show. Maybe it was the live stream yesterday, or the watch with us yesterday. Go watch the Mississippi State game last year, and look how and notice the difference in confidence, in swagger, in accuracy, in decisiveness. He was getting hit in the pocket and throws a 55-yard bomb to DeAndre Moore on the money, walks it in. And I look, you hope all these guys that are hard workers and do all the right things do really well. It's a total collapse in confidence is what it is. And once you lose your confidence, everything breaks down. And the thing that was the most concerning for me and for how far Arch has to come. And I hope the guy gets past this. Is the swing pass at the end of the game under pressure, Rod, or it went late in the game when he was in the Christian Clark. He overthrew it by 3 feet from 6 yards away.
Yeah. I
mean, it was concerning, but it was sad to watch. And because you know the guy's extremely talented.
Yep.
And there's still some things that shock you. And some of the things like that really shocked me. And I agree. It's sports psychologist. It's getting over a big, big mental hurdle that's built up at this point.
Yep. And to your point, I think everybody had that moment watching the UTEP game where you had, I guess it was an ish moment, like, oh no, this is serious. Yeah. And this is whatever issues he's dealing with. It's much more serious than we anticipate. It'd be different. It's mechanical issues. It's it's throwing motion, and now it's
past all that point.
Exactly, we're past all that. There are plenty of college football quarterbacks making plays with terrible mechanics. Right? Like there are tons of them. We're past that point now, and it seems to be mental. Mine was the 4th. Was it the 4th and 3 with Parker Livingstone on the out route? And Sark schemes open a beautiful rub concept
in the red zone. The 4th and 3 on a little waggle to the left.
Yeah, exactly. What you thought he's good at, right on the move. And Sark schemed open probably 3-4 yards of separation, easy for Parker Livingstone there. Ryan Wingo did a good job rubbing the DB, pushing the DB, and Arch looked at it for a good second.
He looked at it so long, he let the defensive lineman then come into the play and affect his vision when it should have never happened.
Yes. And to me, that was the moment I went, oh, he has no confidence in what he sees anymore. Yeah. He doesn't believe what he sees as a quarterback. That's scary. And then that was the other Parker Livingstone one. I was 4th down as well in the red zone. They decided to play action pass on 4th and short, and it was a post route. And he could have thrown it on a line to the far hash and let Livingstone run under it. Could have thrown it kind of on a line right at him and still probably would have caught it. Maybe the DB would have been able to tackle him before he got there. Either way, there were 3 or 4 different ways to make that completion pretty easy. And he just airmailed it, and it wasn't even close. So I'm with you. The collapse of confidence, and I think ultimately the collapse of confidence of your quarterback. If your quarterback is playing well, you can cover up a lot of your issues offensively. It can mask a lot of them. But now all the issues they have offensively are exacerbated because your quarterback is in a crisis. And now it feels like the entire offense is in a crisis. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're doing. It ain't just Arch, by the way. I hope we don't make it seem like it's just Arch.
No.
It ain't just Arch. The O-line's got issues. Some of the young running backs have had, it looks like at times, they're a little bit confused about where to hit the holes in their vision. Wide receivers, we've talked about that with the wide receivers. Wingo and Arch can't get on the same page and connect. And tight ends in blocking were actually run blocking and pass blocking. I think your tight ends have struggled there too. I like what the tight ends are doing in the passing game, but everybody right now has a hurdle, an obstacle to overcome. And it's going to be interesting to see. This is a great test for Sark as a head coach.
Maybe his biggest as a coach.
I agree with that.
To date. There was some positive. James Simon's got a chance, and we talked about this. I love this guy coming out of high school.
Love him.
I think he's got a chance to be a really, really good running back, Rod, because if that's his first carries of his career, what's he going to look like by game 5 or 6? Now, he's got really good instincts. He reacts with foot quickness to sudden change in his peripheral. And then he takes on contact with a little pissed off aggression, physicality, and keeps his legs moving and churning. He shows a lot of signs of being a really good player for Texas. If that's the first look at James Simon, I'm excited to see what it looks like in the future for him. He's got a chance to be really good.
Yeah, I believe out of he had the yards after contact. I want to say most of his yards came after contact. Yep. I want to say a good 75% of his yards came after contact. You can look at the Pro Football Focus numbers. So I'm with you. He looked really, really good. And they also, this is the first game where Texas had more zone runs.
Yeah.
In the running game than gap power schemes. I think that's just when Cedric Baxter went down. He's their downhill runner with those gap power schemes. So they kind of reverted back to what they were doing last year. But James Simon, he looked good on a lot of those zone cuts. I think he had 11 of his runs, if I'm not mistaken, end up being zone runs. So it'll be interesting to see without Cedric Baxter, how long he's going to be out. Jerry Gibson is the next best back for them at running those power gaps. And maybe Sark will be willing to give him more opportunity in that role because he looked decent at times in that role too.
People are asking about CJ Baxter. I don't have anything new on him. It's a hamstring injury, but nothing. I've not heard anything on a time frame for him. You got to expect he's not going to play this week. So here's the question for me.
No Wisner.
With the running back position, do you get Trey Wisner a few touches this week just to get him back into the flow? Or you hold him for Florida? He's done enough. Hold him for Florida.
I can't risk it. Yeah. Not now. We got a bye week right before the Florida game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. You might want to knock some of the rust off. I'm just going to depend on him being a veteran and being that trustworthy guy that Texas had last year. He's 1,000-yard back. I'm with you, Jerry. Usually you want a guy to go in there at least being able to knock off some of the rust and get used to the speed of the game. I'm going to have to throw him into that Florida game, just kind of hoping that he acclimates quickly because you can't risk getting another running back nicked up at all.
Here's a question that's going to be in the chat a lot tonight. What is Texas right now? So I think this is an interesting question because the one thing I will say is, look, Arch has to – I don't know what's going to happen there. But I do know that, DeAndre Moore is a starter. Trey Wisner's a starter. Emmett Mosley wasn't recruited to be an off-the-bench player. He's a starter. They're without some key guys that are going to help them. But I would say this. I think Texas has a playoff-level defense and what we've seen a 6-6 offense. So where does that get you? That's the question. Where does that get you? You aren't going to – I don't see Texas winning games like LSU's winning games right now because Garrett Nussmeier, even though he had a bad interception against Florida, he's still playing at a higher level at the quarterback, much higher level quarterback position. So, because LSU's offensive line is struggling, they're replacing 4 starters, but I don't see the Texas winning games like that against Oklahoma, against Georgia, who just put up 45, 48 at Tennessee.
On Stockton.
You're not gonna win games 2017 against many teams on the schedule. A&M's offense looks really good.
Oklahoma's offense looks good. So
the chances of you winning 2017 games aren't really going to be there. Maybe there's one game where you control and the other quarterback has a bad game. DJ Lagway threw 5 picks. But how many of these games could you win 20-17, 21-14? On the schedule, it tells you, man, there's just as many losses as there are wins in 20-17 type of games.
I think, to your point, Jerry, because I agree with you about the defense. Defense still has a chance to meet expectations. And we thought they could end up being an elite defense. They still got a chance to do that. And I think your special teams actually took a step forward. Talking about positive. Ryan Niblett. We've been criticizing Ryan Niblett for 2 weeks. Either he's got to get better in terms of judging these punts, got to get better delivering some explosive plays via the return game, or they need to explore other options. Well, Ryan Niblett must have heard us, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to show y'all. And that's exactly what he did. Had his best game that we've seen. And now you're getting explosives out of your punt return game, your return game. That's great. And I think, Bowmeister is still a beast. I think Shipley's going to be good for you. Your special team should, I don't know if it's going to be elite. It definitely should be a strength for you. Offensively, I think where you are now, because your defense will keep you in should keep you in all games. But I think it'll keep you in, it'll keep you in most of your games with SEC competition.
Yeah.
I think week to week is how you have to approach it if you're a Longhorn fan. And that's going to suck because you can't guarantee that this offense isn't going to have another stinker performance that it had versus a UTEP. And I know you're like, oh, that's UTEP. I agree, but Jerry just read through the stats of how, UT Martin performed versus UTEP and others. This Texas offense is struggling. I think I'm going to have to base it on how the opponent's playing that week and the trajectory of this offense and their either improvement week to week or regression week to week. So that's kind of where I am. I'm going on a week to week basis here. Yeah, you're going to beat Sam Houston, but after that, we're going to start going back to a week to week thing. This is it.
And so somebody asked, and I'm not saying this about Texas right now, obviously. Somebody said it's going to be interesting to see a Tennessee Longhorn, I think, asked, can defense still win championships? Well, I'll tell you this. Since 2015, the national championship winning score on average in the national championship game, the average, even if you take away Georgia's 65-7, has been in the high 30s, low 40s on average. There's only been one national championship game that was won under 30, and that was Alabama 26, Georgia 23 in 2018. And I'm here to tell you, I don't believe defenses win championships anymore because you got to win 3 or 4 games to win it. And at some point, somebody's going to score on your defense, and you have to be able to score 30-plus on theirs. It's getting to be like college basketball. 75 points has always been the number in basketball. It's always been what holds Kelvin Sampson back, is if you ever get in a game where you have to score 76, can you score 81? Because you can be really good on defense, and that can get you a long way. But at some point in that tournament, there's going to come a game where you just have to be able to score a little bit more than you normally do. In that, I just don't think defense wins championships anymore. I think defense can help you get to the playoffs, but to win 3 or 4 games in a row, you got to be able to punch it in the zone.
Yep, no, I'm with you. And honestly, for Texas, that's been a problem, especially in the red zone, punching it in the zone. Got to convert a 3rd down usually before you can put together a touchdown drive. All right, let's hit some super chats here. So we got plenty of them. Thank you guys for being patient with us. Juan's up first here. Juan, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Says people forget Arch is 4-1 as a starter. Also, Jerry, I think it's mental with Arch. I think he's trying too hard. Also, he didn't have a lot of reps. Rep 1 games against Georgia, Texas A&M, and Ohio State. That's a good point. I think
it's mental. I think it's mental all the way. Like, even when people are like, well, after a game, he's sidearming the ball. You know what? I saw Rocco Beck make the same throws for Iowa State. I was watching a replay of their game. Man, these guys, you have to be able to change slots. There's point in times where it's not just pretty pockets, right? Now, I think Arch played on his heels in that first game, and that was an issue for him. He didn't play on the balls of his feet enough. But, look, you're not always just going to be able to step into throws. Some of those throws you're going to have to force into different slots. But, again, the reason it's mental with Arch, just go watch Mississippi State last year. Just go watch Mississippi State last year. Rod, we were at practices, the media window practices. You just didn't see any signs of that. That's when it's mental.
Yep. No, I agree with you because I broke down those games and did, some Sunday schools just about him on third and longs and him in different situations in the red zone. And all those numbers were spectacular. That's why the hype, much of the hype, of course, he's a Manning, but the 2 games last season, he played some of the best football that we've seen from any quarterback last season in any game, in any situation. So it is very stupefying to watch him this season because he doesn't like the same quarterback. Just don't look like the same guy. So I'm with you on. I said earlier, go hire. I don't know who the best sports psychologist in the country is or in the world. Maybe there's one internationally you can go get.
Mannings have a plane.
Exactly. And they will pick up the phone at the Mannings call. And I think they need to look into getting him. I know Texas has access to him too, but you might need the best of the best, considering what we've seen, just regression that we've seen from Arch Manning. All right, Katie 35 on the best here. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Said, do Texas invest in any guys potentially from Virginia Tech or UCLA rosters?
Vautech's got 3 or 4 really good defensive players. I mean, we'll see on that. This is one thing that's interesting is Virginia Tech. And I know they're 0-3. The Old Dominion game will get you fired if you're 0-2, but that's a pretty quick right hook that they just – so it's really interesting. I think with the one portal period now being in January, signing day being the first week in December, you're going to see these ADs and universities cut bait even quicker. And I know both these guys, and UCLA was a disaster, but you're going to see earlier cutting bait and getting a move on the vetting process for the hiring process of college football because you have to have your guy the day or 2 days after your last game of the year on November or whatever that is, 27th, 28th, 29th, whatever day you play. You got to have somebody in place within 2 or 3 days after that. I think you're going to see accelerated processes for the Virginia Tech roster. I need to take a look at those guys, but they have 2 linebackers that are really good players, and they got a couple of D linemen that are really good players. But I think they're all upperclassmen going to the NFL after this year. But I'll check. I'll double check.
Good question, Katie 35 on the best. We'll do some research on that. And coming up next here, how about the crime piece? He said, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. He said, shouldn't we just run the ball, punt, and kick field goals and make teams drive the entire field on our defense? Saban did that at Bama early. The crime piece, I agree with you. I said this on the live watch when we were doing the in-game live watch, and I said it again on the post-game. I said we had all these really grand plans and projections for this Texas offense. And I think at this point, the reality through 3 games is that your offense is inept and doesn't have an identity. But your defense still can be elite. And your special teams, I think, can be one of the best special teams units in the SEC. So it's a great test for Sark. But you know how you have to win games. Yeah. You got to lean on your defense, win the special teams, win the hidden yardage on special teams week after week. And your offense can't lose you games. They can't expose the defense. They have to put together some type of, drives and be able to extend drives. They got to take field goals. To your point, Crumbs, you can't be, if you're Sark, you can't be going for it on 4th down and rolling the dice over and over again if you are playing this style of football where your margin for error is very thin because you're winning with defense and you're winning with special teams, and your offense is basically a liability that you're trying not to overexpose. That's what Texas is, right? Your offense can be a kind of a liability for you.
The problem, and I don't. It kind of gets back crime piece. What we're talking about with LSU is LSU may have actual better personnel to make it to a college football playoff playing that style if their offensive line continues to struggle as they grow up. When do they actually grow up for LSU? And I'm not putting this on the Texas offensive line. I'm talking about how they're winning games. I don't know how many teams Texas can beat on the schedule playing that way is the problem. I mean, maybe Lagway throws you 5 picks, but I doubt it in Gainesville. Although who knows where any quarterback's confidence is going to be on October 4th. Because Lagway, you think Saturday was bad for Lagway? Now you're going to Miami. Miami may, and I wasn't a Miami believer. Miami may be playing as good as anybody in the country. I'll get the Diabell. I'll answer that Diabell question, Nathan. But how many games on the schedule can you actually win if 21 points, 20 points? And I'm not sure you're going to put up right now. You're not putting up 20 on Oklahoma or Georgia, more than likely. You're going to have busted coverage or plays. So how many games could you actually win like that is the question. And I would say less than you think.
Yeah. Well, and it changes, right? The dynamic, and also changes your mentality in those other phases. If you know your offense is not going to keep up their end of the bargain and not necessarily be able to play complementary football, you need to make more plays on special teams. I mean, you need to block some kicks. You need some explosive returns. On defense, you do need to get more pressure, and you do need to create more havoc plays, and you do need to get more turnovers. So I think you need to start rolling the dice and taking some more risks in those other phases to kind of make up for the lack of plays, the lack of production on offense. All right. Getting back to it. CB, thank you for the super chat. CB says, Charlie Ward tweeted support for Arch today. I did see that.
He's a great human, man. Charlie Ward's an awesome human being. I've met him, known him a little bit through the Under Armour All-America game. Went to a high school. He coached Alex Leatherwood in the Pensacola area. I went to see Alex Leatherwood when I was doing this nationally. Charlie Ward's an awesome human being, man. Awesome.
Great message here too from Charlie Ward. He says here, I know the feeling, Arch Manning. He added him too. I know the feeling at Arch Manning. I got booed and benched several times in 92. Keep putting in the work and trusting your work as you learn from these experiences. You have a Heisman in your future. Just keep growing from each game. Yeah, nice message there from Charlie Ward. Yeah. Hey, and Todd Dodge once told me, he said, man, it is a rite of passage to get booed as a Texas quarterback. He said every starting quarterback that he's known at Texas has gotten booed at one point. So, hey, I do remember. I remember Sims getting booed. It happened to him. I think Major got booed at one point too. It happens to everybody. It does. Yeah. So thank you, CB, for that. We appreciate that. Eric Andrews here says Arch needs to wear his Warby glasses next game. The commercials that are on in the games also are not helping the hype, because he's got a lot of commercials on. I mean, I usually fast forward through them when I'm doing my rewatch, and I still see a lot of commercials on there. So that's part of the hype right now for Arch. He's got to deal with. Aloha Traveler, thank you for that, Eric. We appreciate it. Aloha Traveler, thank you for the super chat. Says, I'm concerned the wheels will come off in conference play. If they do, doesn't Sark have to go portal shopping at QB and offensive line in January and get an OC? Thank you for that, Aloha Traveler. Yeah, I think that the number one thing Sark is going to have to answer for, if the wheels completely come off this thing, right? It goes off the rails, and we're talking about 7-win season here, something like that. The OC conversation, he won't be able to avoid.
That's right.
Because now the proof, it's just, like I said, it's too damning, right? You've gotten worse in critical areas the last 4 to 5 years, gotten worse in third down. I mean, your third down offense right now, I think you're 126th, something like that, third down offense. I mean, you're just terrible. You've never been good, but now you're getting worse. Red zone offense, I think your touchdown percentage is like 112th or something like that. So you haven't improved in those critical areas. You've gotten worse there. And now the quarterback development is a question. Quarterback development is a question because, Quinn, hey, I love Quinn. Quinn was great. But Quinn, some people would argue he regressed as that third-year starter for Texas. That's why he wasn't drafted higher. And now you get the Arch Manning thing where everybody's like, well, Arch doesn't even look the same as he looked last year. He's regressing, talking about the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So that he can either focus more on maybe quarterback development, focus on fixing some of those critical areas, whatever it may be, he is going to have a lot of pressure. And I agree with Jerry. He said it initially when we started the live stream, ton of pressure from boosters, from his boss, from fans, and from media that you need to hire an offensive play caller. He's got a coordinator, guys. Kyle Flood's a coordinator. He is. But Sark's calling the plays and Sark's designing the plays. So he needs somebody to come in there that will essentially be able to either pick a run Sark's offense, run a cover version of it, or bring in some of their own ideas offensively and help evolve Sark's offense. That's real. The truth is, guys, Sark hasn't really evolved his offense much since he got here. And look at the defense. Defense is elite, right? Look at how many like different transformations the defense has gone through. in the last few years. Right? I talk about it all the time. They had Gary Patterson in the first, and Gary Patterson taught them kind of the match coverage, kind of the match coverage cheat code, if you will, cheat sheet for the Big 12. They were playing a lot of what they call country coverage, which is you play actual zone, spot zone. You're only defending an area of the field, a zone of the field. No. Gary Patterson came in and said, PK, you can't do that in the Big 12, man. Too many hybrid spread schemes. You need to run pattern match coverage. So they started running a ton of pattern match coverage. Match 3, match 4, and then they brought in Nansen. Nansen brought in all these exotic ideas, big nickel, the dime package, the NASCAR package, all these real kind of fun. They now run the 3 high a lot. They run the 3 high shell. That was all kind of Nansen bringing in those exotics. And now they're a single high team. They run a ton of single high. They're playing more man coverage. That's the Akina influence coming in. Akina and Orfe and Kenoto Hudson. Those guys are man coverage kind of specialists and teachers of the game. So the defense is evolving with the acquisition of fresh ideas and fresh talent. Also fresh. Coach Akina's pretty old, but you get my point. And I don't know if Coach Sark has allowed that to happen on offense. Got a little of that with Brennan Marion and the 2-back sets and the go-go offense. I like a little bit of that evolution. I still want to see more of that, but I get the injuries. And I think you had, was it Paul Christ who came in for a little while? And he helped you with some of your jumbo packages, your Big 11, Big 12 packages. I think he helped a little bit of that. But other than that, I think Sark needs to at least bring in somebody to help him kind of add juice to the offensive scheme or help him evolve the offensive scheme like the defense has. And he talked about it, that all the guys they bring in on defense, they just use their ideas. It's a big think tank. Maybe you got to take that approach with offense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. We appreciate that. But yeah, Sark's definitely going to go get an OC after a while. I know there's an article. I saw CBS Sports, an article up there talking about it as well. All right. Scott with a super chat here. Scott, thank you for the super chat. Says, we've yet to have a top 10 offense. Sark ain't the elite play caller he's made out to be. No, you have not had a top 10 offense.
Yeah.
In fact, last time you were top 10 in red zone, it was Bijan was here. That was in 2021. Bijan and Rojo. You were top 5, actually. Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's there's I'm not sure there's a lot of answers right now. I will say this. Even if you haven't had a top 10 offense to this point, and you were in the national semifinals 2 years in a row, and it was the red zone at the end of the game that ended your season. So it was more red zone than where your offense was ranked that ended your season when it mattered most.
That's fair.
So if Texas had gotten better in the red zone, they would have played for a national championship one of those last 2 years.
I was going to say one of them years they would have. Yeah, you're right.
And so no matter where we think offensive rankings are, that's not really what ended the Texas seasons the last 2 years.
Can I just say this, though, too? Texas really had they had an equalizer for them. Like, they had all these issues. They were in mediocre third down offense or below average third down offense those last 2 years and had the red zone issues, but explosive plays, guys. They were top 10 in explosive plays on offense in 2023. They were number 1 in the country in generating 20-plus yard plays in 2024. So whenever they had an issue, a third and long, or, oh, man, Texas, they can't get the running game going, they really would be able to mask those deficiencies by just coming up with explosive plays. And they did it as good as anybody in the country the last 2 years. Right now, you are 99th in 20-plus yard plays. And so it's not masking a lot of your deficiencies right now. They're glaring.
No, yeah. I mean, and it's been drop pass, bad throw, penalty. I mean, it's everything you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
That's affected it. So it's not like you can just say, well, Arch has just missed all throws. No, there's been drops. There's been a hold. And that's why we say the quarterback's always going to take the brunt of it. And in this case, it was so concerning that I get it. But you could look at every offensive position right now and say, got to improve.
Yep.
Got to get healthy for one.
Yeah, that is, we don't talk enough about that. But
just to see what you're capable of.
Yes, I agree. Like, not having your top 2 running backs, not having, one of your starting receivers and then Emmett Moses, another guy that we thought was going to be in the circle of trust. That does matter. Like it matters, but not to the extent you should be struggling that much versus UTEP. Yeah. You still should be able to put together, I think, a better offensive output versus UTEP. All right, let's thank our sponsor before we move on here and answer some more super chats. I see them piling up. Thank you, guys. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop. That's right, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Remember to use that discount code. You see it right there on your screen, on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots, and they have it all, from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins, and they ship nationwide, so no matter where you are in this great country of ours, our friends at Rogue Shop can get their fabulous products to you. So no matter if you're dealing with sleep deprivation or anxiety or maybe just aches and pains from battling Father Time, you need to try our friends over at Rogue Shop. They have a lot of different items, so many different items that help you battle those ailments successfully. So check out rogueshop.com. Remember, use that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. All right, back to the super chats. Lane with the super chat. Thank you, Lane. Very kind of you. Says, what is the winning formula for this year's offense? Can they be the elite Fundies team that takes 4 yards and a cloud of dust? No. Got to find something that complements the D.
No, because the rules aren't made for that anymore in sports. The rules are made for offense. I mean, when you see Nick Saban, the way he adapted to offensive football changes and how he adapted his recruiting and became a guy that would go score 40 points to win a game if he needed to, you knew change was more than in the air. I mean, like it was here. So I just – that's not going to get it done because other teams, especially in this league with the talent, I don't care how good defensively you are, teams are going to put up – there may be 3 or 4 teams that put up 21, 24, 28 on you. And it's extremely, extremely difficult to get in a low possession game like that because say you shrunk the game to 8 possessions. Is this Texas offense going to score on 4 or 5 of them right now against a good team? No chance. You need more possessions.
Yeah. And short fields.
And short fields.
And short fields will help too. That's why you got to win special teams and take some chances on defense. That's a good point. I think Sark understands this. That's why that last quarter was so eye-opening against UTEP, running Arch Manning on design runs in the fourth quarter, not throwing only 1 pass of 10 yards or more in the second half of that game. It's possible that was foreshadowing how the offense is probably going to look, guys. Just to, it's so Sark can make sure that they can at least put together a competent offense. Because now they look competent. Most of it.
They don't look. They didn't Saturday. It was as bad as I've seen for a while. Somebody asked about the line. It's 40.5 Texas, and I'll say this: Sam Houston State's a bad football team coming in. So I mean, they lost to Hawaii 37-20. UNLV, who Dan Mullington coached, just a weird personality, 38-21, and Western Kentucky 41-24. I mean, Texas could score 50 and it could fool people next week. Just saying that. I'm just putting that out there, or could at least score 40.
But what if they don't, Jerry? That's
what if they don't.
That's what I'm afraid of. If they look inefficient and if they look inept at times versus Sam Houston State, then I have my panic button here. I've not pressed.
If they don't, I'm going to send a super chat to us with a question. I'll send my own super chat next week.
I will. I'll buy me a panic button and press, because I've seen some of those stats too, Jerry, about Sam Houston State, and defensively, they've been struggling. They give up a lot of explosive plays via the pass, and their pass defense is one of the worst in the country. So if there is a slump buster on this schedule for Texas to get on track, Sam Houston is it. They can't do it versus Sam Houston.
No.
They ain't got it. Guys.
No, they don't have it.
All right. J. Ray, thank you for the super chat. Says, what's the point of having big humans if they can't push anyone off the ball? Also, Millweed for OC? Ooh. I don't know. That's a great question. Would Sark, if Sark say if there's pressure on Sark to hire an OC, would he just hire somebody like that or promote a Millweed so he's basically will still have control? I don't like that. I think Sark used to bring in an outsider, guys. His offensive assistants, he's had most of them to get. Now, I know he brags about continuity, and continuity is great, but continuity can also become complacency. It can get stale. You need new ideas. And I think he needs to bring in somebody think about it. The last 5 national champions right? We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
You go look at them. They all made like an addition, like a big time coordinator addition in the 2 years prior to them winning, within the 2 years prior to them winning that national title, right?
Yes.
Of course, Chip Kelly was the one that came in to obviously spell Ryan Day of his play calling duties.
Jim Harbaugh may been the only guy that didn't.
He brought in a defensive guy, was Jesse Minter.
Yeah.
Who is still with him as his DC. Yep. He borrowed him from his brother in Baltimore. So even he did it, but he's an offensive guy. So he would have did on defense.
Georgia brought in Monken.
They brought in Monken. So for Sark, and Joe Brady, of course, was the brain, the wonder kid that LSU brought in, who's now the OC for the Buffalo Bills. So for Sark, it's interesting because usually it would be him going to the defensive side to go get some, but PK's killing it. Like PK's been awesome. So I think for Sark, it may be on the offensive side, like a guy like Ryan Day. Well, he had to, basically have a man in the mirror moment and decide, you know what, I'm not what's best for this offense, even though it's my offense. I'm not what's best for it right now. And the truth is, can Texas get a better play caller than Steve Sarkisian is the question. Because Sark will still help you design the plays. He still designs the plays, still help you organize the offense. Can you get a better play caller? Because that's what Sark struggles with, in my opinion. I don't think Sark.
Somebody in the chat said, "Look, receivers have been open. There's been look. That's possible. Yes, 100%. We've seen that. I always say sometimes that what's in a quarterback's vision is different than what it looks like on TV. But by and large, I would say yes. Again, though, I think depending on where this season goes is going to kind of tell that story.
Jay Ray, to your point, Texas had big humans last year, and they still were a finesse offensive line.
Yeah.
And part of that struggle is why Sark has been so stubborn this year we want to go into center more, even though it hasn't worked a ton. We want to run more gap power schemes. We want to win the physical edge. And I think that's what he's kind of fixated on now. It's like, no, we need to win the physicality battle. And there are times where I'm with you, Texas offensive line, they're more finesse offensive line than a bully ball O-line. And with guys that big, you would think it would be the opposite. All right. Thank you for that, Jay Ray. One with the super chat says, Jerry, what you all think of Brian Kelly's rant?
Ooh. I actually liked this. I liked it because, look, and I know I've joked before that the call-in shows are LSU or peak entertainment in college football when they lose a football game. But to Brian Kelly's point on this, he got killed last year because for the bad defense, right? Okay, well, you go in the portal, you get guys, and you know what? You win on the road. And I know Clemson lost to Georgia Tech, but Clemson's still a talented team, and they had 6 months to prepare for that game. And you go win on the road in a night game at Clemson. Look how many teams actually do that consistently. Then, you know what? You beat Florida at home. And some people say, well, Lagway turned it over 5 times. And Brian Kelly said, this is the way we played that game out because we were dominating them defensively, and Lagway is making mistakes. But I totally get where he's coming from on that. Like, last year, it's like, well, what's wrong with the defense? What's wrong with the defense? Okay, you fix the defense, you're 3-0, you're ranked top 5 in the country. And then the first question is, what's wrong with third down offense? I mean, it's kind of like, I get kind of why he went off, and I think the players are going to like that he went off. I think he did that probably as much for his players as he did anything. I think his players are going to like that his response to that question. Yeah. That's just one opinion. No, whether you like Brian Kelly or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's good for a street cred. It's good for a street cred. Brandon here with the super chat. Thank you, Brandon. Said, is there a world where Sark benches Arch? At what point is the team more important than his ego? It's a valid question at this point. I never thought we'd be here, but I don't think it ever happens, guys. And I was on the 40 acres for a famous quarterback competition and controversy, whatever you want to call it. And I'd be misleading you if I didn't say there were other factors that came into play other than this guy gives us the best chance to win.
Yeah.
Coaches consider a lot of things when they're making that decision overall other than, oh, no, this guy gives us the best chance to win. So I think there'll be other things considered in that decision. I don't see Arch being benched unless he has. I'm talking about the meltdown of all meltdown games. 4 interceptions in the first
Eric
half.
Gilbert at Kansas State.
Yes, that kind of thing. And then, yes, of course, at that point, as a coach, you're doing a disservice. It's almost malpractice for you not to make a move. But I don't see when you went from Quinn to Arch, that's a different conversation than going from Arch to Matthew Caldwell. Can we all agree with that? And I don't think Sark's ready to have that conversation. He wasn't ready to have the Arch one last year. He definitely ain't ready to have the Matthew Caldwell as our quarterback going forward kind of thing. So, all right, thank you for that, Brandon. Corey, and remember, he reluctantly benched Quinn. He didn't want to bench Quinn.
No.
It took one of the worst performances we've seen from Quinn in a half of football at the college, high school, or whatever level for him to get benched. So I think Sark as a quarterback himself also doesn't want to go there.
No.
Because he wants to be loyal to his QBs. All right, Corey here with a super chat said, "What do y'all think of what do y'all think the conversation is like within the Manning family behind closed doors?" That's a damn good question, Corey. That's good.
I mean, look, everybody in this chat or us would be guessing, right? But it's all about building confidence and belief in oneself. Because to me, it's not a talent deal. I'm going to be a broken record on this. Just look at Mississippi State game last year and look how different it is. It's about self-belief. I think one of the big, if it's me, and I agree with Rod, I mean, sports psychologists they really help golfers. Mm-hmm. And I think being a quarterback is very similar to being a pro golfer.
It's good.
From the pressure standpoint you face.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said there. But I think the one thing is they're very process-oriented people, and it's worked for them. So I think one of the things that would be talked about is this is a process. You have to stick with your process, and you have to trust your process. Because if you start to lose trust in your process, then you're starting over.
Yeah.
And this is no time to start over, in my estimation. I don't know if you agree with that, but
no. I totally agree with you, because I remember the comment from Sark talking about, someone asked him something along the lines of, what do you do when Arch is like out of rhythm, or like 10 straight incompletions or something like that? Like, what do you do? And he said, first, I remember the plays that we talk about, right? The plays that he likes, what he's comfortable with. And Sark talks about how he puts in those specific plays into the game plan based off whatever his referrals are from his quarterbacks. Like they like this play, they like that play, and he'll put all that into the game plan. And so he says he tries to go back to those plays. And then he said, ultimately, if that's not working, I just run them, because he seems to get in the groove when they run them. That's what happened in the UTEP game.
Now here the flip side of that, and I agree with you. But we all talk about, if we're going to talk about, can John Mateer stay healthy in an SEC season running like that? Arch takes hits.
He does.
He's not really a hit avoidance guy.
No.
Mateer's kind of a slippery guy. Arch is not a hit avoidance guy. He's going to take hits. I know that may be what you have to do, but he won't make it through a season doing that. I mean, he got smoked. Somebody landed on his shoulder last night over on the UTEP sideline. I was thinking to myself, if that had been, I don't know, Christian Miller from Georgia, he probably wouldn't have got up from that.
I agree with you. I agree. I'm with you. I think Sark's going to run him more, but you can't do it recklessly, because it's the SEC.
And that's not going to win you the league. That's not going to get you to the playoff. That's not the way this team is built, right? So I think you have to, and I agree with Rod, what he's saying, 100%. And I think that's kind of, you have to do it, and it kind of is masking. I think if you start having to go that route, you're masking so many deficiencies. You're so far off of where you thought you'd be.
Sark also did say, he said we can't operate that way long term. I'm paraphrasing. Right. But he basically was like, we got to be able to operate from the pocket.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to, to be able to execute the offense efficiently from the pocket. We can't just abandon the reads and skip reads and decide, no, I'm just going to run it. He said, that type of hero ball, it doesn't last long, as we all know. So I think you're right about that. You got to find the you got to find the balance if you're Sark in that way. Killer here 1021 says who would be the play caller if Sark gave up play calling duties, or would we have to search for one day? Day went out and got Chip Kelly last year. I mean, I think you go out and get the best. I think you make a short list, NFL guys included. He runs a pro style offense. NFL guys included. Texas is a different job than other, coordinator and play caller jobs at the college level. You can pay top dollar, and they know if I ball out there at Texas, that's one step to the league. It's so close. You've already had guys make that jump from Texas as an assistant coach to the league. So I think you can go get the best. Now, who's on that short list? I don't know, because Sark probably wants to make sure they're compatible with his, scheme and his style of play, those types of things. But Texas can go get the best play caller in the country, whoever that is. I don't even know who that is. Coaches getting fired too at the college level, that are offensive minds. You can go after those guys too.
Yeah. I want to address this. SH said, I believe Sark picked up Caldwell late because he knew Arch might not produce. It's actually the opposite of that. It was picked up because I think they weren't locked in on who their number 2 quarterback would be, especially with no experience. And I think where that potential second team quarterback is why they made that move in the portal. And Sark also knows, and it's not just Texas. Lenore Sellers got knocked out on a targeting hit last night. Quarterbacks get hurt in this game. Texas hasn't had one guy make it through the season all year. And if you're planning for your season, do you want Arch, first-year starter, behind Trey Owens and KJ Lacey? Neither one of them have any real game experience. KJ had none. Trey has no meaningful experience. Is that how you were going to go into this season, knowing you had quarterbacks injured every year you've been here? No, that they didn't take him thinking Arch might not produce. They took him to ensure they had a second teamer with experience if they needed to go that route this year.
Good stuff, Jerry. All right, Justin with a super chat here. Thank you, Justin. Says, how has practice deferred from games? I haven't got to see any practices other than what OTF has posted. It's been the most shocking start to the season I can remember. For now, it's just win, baby. Well, defensively, I just wondered if in practice, when Arch is struggling, they just chalked it up to he's going up against an elite defense, and they're going to make plays. And they just assume that any struggles that he had or any type of inconsistency in his game is because he was going up against that Texas defense.
Yeah.
And now it's just the inconsistency in his game is due to whatever's causing it, the mental lapses or not the collapse of confidence you're talking about, Jerry, whatever it may be. But I do think they may have had a warped perception of the offense based on how good the Texas defense was, and they were going up against each other in practice. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, Justin.
Well, you never think your quarterback's going to go to the level it has. Not with what you saw last year. Not with what you saw in spring. That's like a shock to the system for people. So, Donald Britt, this is actually interesting, Rod. Sark-like strategy with sandbagging. I do think there's some sandbagging of things in the scheme offensively, but that doesn't have anything to do with the bad play, because you could be sandbagging and winning 48-7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not showing.
I do think there's some elements of that, Rod, with a lot of things pre-snap and some of the things we haven't seen that we think we'll see, but that doesn't excuse the lack of level of play.
Yeah, the execution.
It's talent mismatch games.
Yeah, I agree. Even if the scheme is, rudimentary, the execution shouldn't be this bad and poor. Yeah, I'm with you. And I do agree. I think, I don't know if I would use the term sandbagging, but I have stated for the Ohio State game that game plan was uncharacteristic of Sark in big games. And in that game versus San Jose State, I mean, you ran so much 12. That was your best 12 personnel game I think Sark had ever produced as a play caller at Texas. You had 5 tight ends play, 4 of them had targets. All of your explosive plays, your longest plays on the day came out of 12 personnel. So I will say so far, I do think it has been uncharacteristic to the start of the season of the Sark offensive style. So maybe he's saving some stuff for Florida. That could be. I thought, and I think Coach Shipley made a great point. You want to get comfortable and running your staples and executing your staple concepts. And we haven't really seen Texas be really good at those core staple concepts so far this season. So maybe you'll see that in versus Sam Houston. All right, Sean with the super chat. Sean, thank you for the super chat. Says 2017 Texas offense look better than this. How? 2017 Texas offense. Ooh, I remember that offense. Yeah, that was Shane Buccelli and young Sam Ehlinger, a young Bam Bam Sam out there. But I'll say this on that offense. This is the problem with the Texas offense right now. Not only are they inefficient in critical areas like third down and red zone, and your offense and your quarterback has a confidence issue, right? A crisis of confidence. But there's no fear factor with the offense right now either. Meaning, I don't know if defenses are afraid of certain players on that Texas offense. And Sark's always had those guys. Even when the Texas offense wasn't great in 2021, you still had a fear factor with Bijan and X-Man. He was like, you better not let that group be behind you. You better set that edge or Bijan is going to make, he's going to put y'all in the blender. That guy was supposed to be a Ryan Wingo, and Trey Wisner's been hurt, and Cedric Baxter's been hurt. Right now, you're missing, and Arch is supposed to be a fear factor, right? Arch, dual threat element. He's got the deep ball, and he's got the scrambling ability, and we haven't really seen that come to fruition either. So they're missing that too. I think defenses are playing more aggressive because they don't really fear right now.
By the way, Sean, I'm going to need your social media handle because you just brought back memories of giving up 51 at home to Maryland in 2017.
Oh, the jet sweep again. Jet sweep.
So 51-41 loss to Maryland at home. So, Sean McCumber, I need your social media handle so I can have fun with you after that one, please.
Oh, and then lost to him again the next year with was it the interim head coach they had? Because they fired their head coach. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be bringing up bad memories like that. We got enough negativity to talk about. Let's get back to it. Eric Andrews, thank you for another super chat. Need to question Kyle Flood. Where's the big nasties at? Been too soft up front. Ooh, not a lot of criticism thrown at Kyle Flood.
So I said the same thing on Rapid Reactions this morning with Bobby. Is some of the things I've said with Arch is I think I see a lack of what's become confidence on a couple of spots on the offensive line, and if you don't have confidence in what you're seeing or there's any hesitation, if you're not just reacting and being an athlete on the offensive line, you're going to get your ass whipped. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care who you're playing. And I sense that we're seeing a little bit of that. It just looks, and I don't put everything on coaching, guys. I just don't. I know some people do, but I think there's a couple of spots you can look at and say, is that guy a little hesitant in what he's doing? Because if you're hesitant on the offensive line, you're losing, period. Like, you can't play with hesitation, and you have to be very confident and sure of what you're doing at that position, else you're going to get body rocked or just straight up beat with quickness. So I get it. I'm seeing a little bit of that hesitation. Same thing, that lack of confidence. And you can't do that on the offensive line. That is not going to work.
All right. Good stuff, guys. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate that super chat. Getting back to it here. How about this one from Jeff? He says, we're number 8 in the AP poll. It's a horrible poll. I didn't realize Texas was number 8 in the poll. I'm not worried about rankings anymore. And like I said, I'm going to take this thing on a week-to-week basis. I know a lot of Longhorn fans, I can think about the macro, the playoffs, and we got Georgia down the line and this and that. I'm done with that at this point, folks. I think week to week is how I have to approach it, so I don't go insane. And I think honestly, this Texas team needs to get back to that too. Like, they can't. There's no more looking. I think there's a lot of looking ahead for this team. Let's be honest. Early on, it's not a lot, guys. A lot of looking ahead. Heisman Trophy candidate, number 1 overall pick in the future. Texas is a number 1 team in the nation for the first time in the preseason poll for the coaches and the AP. Let's not act like there ain't been a lot of looking ahead in that locker room. They've been reading social media, y'all. Yeah. It's pretty clear they've been reading social media, which is fine. I mean, they're young, But now it's time to get back to the task at hand, because those projections and all that, you see what they mean. You see where they got you. Nowhere. So I think that's what in my opinion, I think the team have got a little distracted. They've been playing like a distracted team. Like they're not fully focused on the task at hand. And that's in a lot of different areas. That's not just Arch, by the way. Paxton here with a super chat says, was Sterling Gilbert better at play calling over Sark? No.
No.
What was the last play caller at Texas that was better than Sark?
People wouldn't like my answer.
Ooh. You ain't gonna say you go Greg Davis on him?
John Mackovic.
He brought modern offense to Texas.
Great red zone coach. He could run it on anybody. John Mackovic was a really good play caller. Really good red zone coach.
Mm-hmm. He was just he just wasn't great with like boosters, donors, and fans.
He wasn't good at any part of the job at Texas.
He was good at actual coaching X's and O's, but when it comes to all the other aspects of it.
Oakland 2003 says Brian Harsin.
Brian Harsin I always called his offense a show about nothing. I loved it because it never really had a true identity, but he wanted to throw enough into the offense where you as a defense also couldn't identify the identity. So you never knew what to take away.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't know what his identity is. And he's like, that's the whole point. I don't want anybody to know what it is. So I actually enjoyed Brian Harsin's offense. The show about nothing is what I used to call it. All right, back to it. Catch the Wave X. Thank you for the super chat. Hearing a lot of rumbles and comparisons of this situation to Garrett Gilbert in 2010. Thoughts? Oh.
I mean,
he was bad then. He was bad.
You got to see where this ultimately goes. But I can say this, that Saturday was about as rough as it gets.
I would say this though,
without a big number of interceptions.
Yeah, Mac didn't do any favors for Garrett because he changed that offense. Remember, 2010 they changed the offense. They wanted to go more of a power downhill running game, and that was the first time Mac kind of called his shot and said we were going to be this offensively, and everybody went. But Garrett's he's a spread quarterback. Why would you want to go?
Here's the other thing with that too. I think people forget how bad he was in 2010. I mean, he was and I know people we're going to bring up stats now. That's why I think you have to let things play out. But 10 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and 59%. I mean, that is like, I know FSU fans would have taken that with DJU last year, but nobody else would have. All right, producer Matt.
He had to get one of them in on DJU. I love it. Yeah, thank you, Catch the Wave. We appreciate that. How about this one from Jess? Jess says, what can help Arch at this point?
Rod, you hit it. You hit it.
I think I go back to the sports psychologist. I mean, people can't be ashamed of that, and use the connections that you have. First Family Football. The Mannings know guys who literally got over the yips and conquered them successfully and had to deal with it openly, criticized by the media. Find one of those guys and have them go talk to Arch about it, And so that's how I would approach it, because I think it is all mental at this point.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Jess. We appreciate the super chat. Walker with the super chat here. Thank you very much, Walker. Says, do you think our defense being so good cause Arch's mental issues or confidence issues? No, I don't think so. Because last year he was going up against a good defense last year at practice. Which that's when they go 2s-on-1s. He was going up against that defense, and he looked fantastic last year at ULM and Mississippi State. So if anything, good on good supposed to help you. Remember, we always talk about iron sharp as iron. How could going up against the best, all right, actually hurt you? Now, to your point, maybe that's the theory there, Walker, is that it did. But if that is the case, then he's going to have some – I think it's going to be some developmental issues then if that's the case for Arch. I'm hoping it's not. All right, let's get back to it. Got a couple more super chats here before we end today's show. Paxton with a super chat. What would Sterling Gilbert do with these running backs? Gilbert had Deontay Foreman over 2,000 yards.
Deontay Foreman was really, really good.
He was good.
I mean, look, I don't know. Well, this offensive line wouldn't be built for what he does, first of all, offensively. So it's hard. That one's even hard to say. But I think Deontay Foreman is a better running back than anybody on Texas roster.
I like that. That's a good take. Better than Cedric Baxter?
As a pure runner, yes.
Yeah, Deontay Foreman was so damn good. Yeah. So underappreciated. Thank you,
and again, he wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. Some people are always like, well, he was a 2-star. Everybody missed on him. Nobody thought he was going to qualify. He was taken as maybe we'll get him in at Texas.
Yeah, and I remember was Armonte the one that was like the higher recruited brother at the time? Yeah, no doubt about that. Shout out to the Foreman brothers, and shout out, rest in peace to Papa Foreman too, by the way. He's a good friend back in the day. Colton here says, Art sub to the wrong OTF, overthinking football. Good, well done. Punny. I like it. Well done there. Yeah, I mean, they say pressing. That's a term everybody keeps using. Sark used to do pressing, essentially trying way too hard. And that is definitely happening. He's been really hard on himself on every throw, and I think he's, to me, trying way too hard. Whether it be, him as a player, obviously, I think he's hard on himself. I feel like when I watch him make a bad play, which everybody does, everybody has a bad play, I feel like he's really hard on himself, and then it compounds. You know what I mean? And he needs to have a shorter memory, I think. You want to learn the lessons, but
he's got to have a cornerback's memory, right?
Yeah, you can't be hard on yourself because you missed the throw. It's like you got to have that cornerback mentality. Was like, just because that guy beat me, that's no indictment on how good I am. Yeah. That guy got lucky. That's the reason he beat me, something like that. So I feel you on that too. He needs to stop being so hard on himself. That's part of the sports psychology, though. That's a big part of it. Yes. All right, we got one more question, but let's thank our sponsor real quick before we end tonight's live stream. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Make sure to use that promo code. You see it right there on your screen, on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount for my friends over at Rogue Shop. Rogue Shop has it all, from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins, and they ship nationwide. So no matter where you are in this great country of ours, you can get the fantastic products for over at Rogue Shop sent right to your door. Just reach out at rogueshop.com and use that discount code on Texas. No matter what you're dealing with, aches and pains, or just sleep deprivation, anxiety in general, our friends at Rogue Shop, they have all the necessary supplies to help you successfully overcome those ailments at rogueshop.com. All right.
Can I bring this one up real quick, Rob?
Go ahead, please do.
Michael Hargis says, what do you think Florida is saying about us? I don't think they're even concerned about it. I think they're waiting for all the people that cover Florida to put up their coaching hot boards. That's what their discussion's about on the Florida message boards right now, is Lagway and coaching change.
Yeah.
Because if Miami serves them an arse kicking Saturday, even – yes, then Texas is coming to town, but after Texas, they go to A&M.
That schedule's brutal.
And Florida's not going to score enough points to beat A&M. That's pretty obvious after last night in South Bend. Because I still don't think Notre Dame's a bad football team, by the way. I know everybody's like, there's a lot of Notre Dame haters. Say, 0-2, blah, blah, blah. A&M's a lot better on offense this year. That I think anybody can agree that watch that game.
The receivers they got, man, Craver and Concepcion, have really worked out. And whatever they've been doing with Marcel Reed to work on his passing game early on this season and off season, it has worked out. I mean, he looks really crisp in the passing game there. All right, last question here. Lane, thank you for the super chat. Says, is Arch obligated to do interviews after the game? As a fan, I like it, but it can't be helping things. That's good. You know what? I'll give Sark credit for that. I remember, hell, when Mac Brown was here, there were times Mac, after Sims had a bad game or a questionable game, he wouldn't even let Sims go out there at times. Yeah. Like, he tried to shield him from the media. He's a Manning. I mean, he's as well media trained, right, as anybody. Nobody can be better media trained than him.
Yeah. Right? And this is what I want to bring this up. This is what happens when players struggle. People are saying, why was he ducking camps now? Arch didn't go to camps for one. We went through this in recruiting for one simple reason. The Manning Academy is a brand. He wasn't going to go. He camped at Clemson and threw for the Clemson coaches. He camped at Texas and threw for Sark. He camped at Bama. He camped where he needed to. He was not going to go to any public camps because the camp he goes to is the Manning Academy. It's a family business. I'm just being blunt about that. Has nothing to do with, they were hiding him. No. He was just the only camp he was going to take part in is the Manning Academy. It's a family business, a business that one day he'll be part of running.
That is true. I want to share this stat because Blake threw it out there to us in our group chat. Arch's 10 straight incompletions, longest streak by any Texas quarterback since at least 2000. Since we're talking about old quarterbacks for Texas, so it's been a while since we've seen a quarterback hit the struggle bus as hard as Arch has.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for all the questions and the super chats. Really appreciate it. Sorry we couldn't get to all of them. So many great questions. But if you have questions that you just need to have answered, Jerry Hamilton and Bobby Burton will be up bright and early tomorrow morning for Coffee and Football at 8:15 a.m. right here on this very platform. So you can direct your questions to those gentlemen. Also, myself, Coach Bob Shipley and CJ Vogel will also be available tomorrow, the Monday night live stream, of the Winning Drive. They'll be at 7:15 p.m. Man, lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee's going to join us for that one. That'll be a whole lot of fun. And remember, we'll also have you covered for the Monday press conference from Steve Sarkisian. We'll have a Monday reaction after that media availability from Sark, and that'll be posted right here on this channel as well. Also, let me remind you guys that if you want to become a member of the On Texas football family, still a great time to do it. All right. Even though y'all not as optimistic as you were, you can get a year's access to OnTexasFootball.com for just $39.95, folks. You won't find a better deal than that. You won't find a better team than that. Just use that promo code OTFOG to become an OTF OG. And we appreciate all you guys for your participation tonight, all the super chats. Like I said, sorry I couldn't get to all the questions, but tomorrow, 2 live streams, one in the morning, one in the evening, and we can answer all of your questions. So just direct them to Jerry and Bobby at 8:15 for Coffee Football, or the Winning Drive at 7:15 tomorrow with CJ Vogel, Coach Bob Shipley, and myself. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes, doing a great job. He's the real MVP. Jerry, appreciate all of your knowledge and expertise. Job as always, and thanks to all of you guys for the super chats and participation. Really appreciate you for Jerry and for Matthew and for our friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.